So we just get more and more feature films going straight to on demand, and the next one I'm going to be talking about is Josh Trank's Capone. So Capone is a biographical film based upon the last few months of, you guessed it, Al Capone's life. The film stars Tom Hardy in yet another unique performance. Linda Cardellini's also in this. She plays May Capone, Al's wife. If you guys don't know her, come on now. She was in Grandma's Boy, Avengers Age of Ultron, The Green Book, and the list just goes on. And unfortunately, I will say, these two actors were the only good thing about this film, because picture this. You have the director who directed Chronicle. Chronicle is a fantastic, gritty, found footage superhero film. And then he directed Fantastic Four, which, honestly, it wasn't really his fault. But with this, in my opinion, he's got another flop under his belt. Let's just go more in depth with it. Tom Hardy does play a good Al Capone. He's old, he's senile, he's got some form of syphilis just like he did in real life during his last few months. He's seeing things, imagining things that aren't there. He's cursing and lashing out at his wife. He is just losing all of his friends and scaring off workers. He just doesn't know who he is most of the time. And May Capone, Linda Cardellini, she sticks with him no matter what. And even if he's yelling at her or he shits the bed, she's still taking care of him, and props to her for that. And like I said, props to Tom Hardy, because he just knows how to totally embrace a role. I wasn't too much a fan of his Bane character, but I know he just went full in method acting for that. And he did Venom, which, regardless of how you guys feel about the movie, I loved him as Eddie Brock. Lawless did a great job. Kind of different on Mad Max. But the point I'm making here is he really embraces the characters that he is in these films. And it's no different with this one. He even does the accent pretty well. And then half the time he's like speaking in Italian, whether it's like garbled or under his breath. Like, he's still the Al Capone that you knew. Just old and dying. And that's basically the plot of this movie. Al Capone is dying, and he's just imagining things for the whole movie. That's the plot of the movie. It doesn't sound interesting at all, does it? If they would have done this film in the vein of kind of like The Irishman, with a lot less runtime, but if Al Capone was old and senile, and maybe for like the first hour or so, he was kind of like trying to remember and retell the events of his life. And then at the end, like the last half hour, maybe you got to the full-on, like, senile stuff without the flashback. That would have made for a better film. It would have had better pacing and just more interesting to us, because there's literally, like, no action here. There's a cool scene at the end, but you're just wondering why they did this. You can definitely tell he's sick, too. I mean, he's supposed to be in his late 40s, but dude looks like he's pushing 60 in this film, even with the makeup. And the only bit of excitement I got was just seeing him act out or lash out at people because of his dementia or syphilis or whatever type of deterioration he had going on with his brain. There's some subplot with a second son that I didn't really care about. It's trying to show that maybe Capone regrets some of the actions he did years ago, some of the people he killed. But what did this director get? I mean, we want to see action. We want to see pacing. I would love to see Al Capone back in the day just like plotting out stuff, organizing hits, and just doing all the trades and whatnot. Getting arrested, going to Alcatraz. I mean, why wouldn't we want to see all that stuff? Keeping this one short, guys, because again, there's just not much to it. A boring plot, a decent main cast, stupid supporting characters that no one cares about, stupid subplots that no one cares about, bland, stretched out dementia scenes that just kind of leave the viewer that they're trying to hint towards a bigger meaning, but it just doesn't pay off in the end. There's a little excitement to be had by the end of the film and a little enjoyment of Tom Hardy interacting with people, but it's definitely just a forgettable film. It's also worth noting that this movie was really lacking a soundtrack. If it did go back and go through the different eras of Capone's life, I would have loved to have heard some 30s and 40s tunes and stuff like that. They do throw in like a little Louis Armstrong, but you could have done so much more. Come on now. Certain movies I'm just glad I didn't see in theaters. Capone gets a 3.5 out of 10.